So, yes, just before we get started, guys, if you have a touchscreen phone, I just want you to do one thing, and you're watching this video off of a touchscreen. If it's an iPad, an iPhone, a Samsung, or who am I kidding, who buys BlackBerry? If you've got one of those touchscreen phones, let this video play. Take this finger right here, just keep the video on, scroll down, and there's that little button, and it says subscribe, and just press it and tell me what happens, and I'll continue now. So what we're going to talk about, Goldberg and Kevin Owens. So I will talk about Joe, I will talk about Seth, I'll talk about everything else but Goldberg, Kevin Owens. So it's been announced that Goldberg will wrestle Kevin Owens at Fastlane in 4 weeks for the WWE Universal title. Words I never thought I would ever hear in my life. As a wrestling fan, I have seen it all. But if you had told me 3 years ago Goldberg would come back to WWE, I would have said, only if you create him as a wrestler on WWE 2K. If you told me that Kevin Steen of Ring of Honor would get signed to WWE, go off from NXT, and win one of their major titles, I would have said, only on the video game where you can create him. The fact that both of these things have happened is absolutely crazy to me. The fact that we are now going to see Kevin Owens and Goldberg for the Universal title really boggles and blows my mind. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of things to say about this, and this is going to be a very heated topic. And I don't disguise my intentions. We've got 4 weeks to talk about this. Let's get the views right now while it's started. So, first of all, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we'll summarise. Here's the problem. The good. And I pose the question if Goldberg wins. Goldberg going in there with Kevin Owens. Number one, let me ask you one thing. On the main roster right now, can you name me a babyface that has strong fan support, overwhelming fan support, credibility, and hasn't been emasculated by Stephanie McMahon? Can you name me a babyface who captures all of those things I've just said? Roman Reigns failed, unfortunately, and Kevin has wrestled him way too many times to the point where fans are just going to say, well, this is a repeat, so why do we need to see this? Seth is injured, but even before then, he's scheduled to face Triple H, but even before then, I don't think that he has enough credibility just yet as a babyface. People like him, he has cool moves, people do like him, but in terms of the character credibility, he gets his balls snipped by Stephanie McMahon every other week when he was a heel and as a babyface, and people want to buy into babyfaces that are not geeks and dweebs, and unfortunately when they do that to Seth, that's what he looks like. There's no Daniel Bryan, so we don't have that situation going on. Ambrose is on SmackDown, Shinsuke Nakamura is on NXT, so who else is there? They have to rely on someone that's been a star from years past, brought into the future to kind of have a main event. Now let's touch on this whole Goldberg thing, because I want to really touch on this. When Goldberg came back in November of last year, I believe, I don't think I have seen people react like that in quite some time. Alright, I know people got excited when Finn won the belt, when Owens won the belt, and there was that story with him and Hunter and Seth and Hunter, which they're only now starting to follow up on. But I have never seen that in quite some time, where Goldberg comes out. He's a nostalgia act. Yes, he is. He's a former WCW main eventer. He wasn't used very well by WWE. He comes back on Raw, cuts a fantastic promo, and the fans have completely bought into him. They're going crazy. They're going nuts. He came across like a big-time superstar. He came across like a badass. God, my English accent. He came across like a tough guy. Oh, I won't use the word ass anymore. He came off like a tough guy. People bought into him, and people bought that he could beat Brock Lesnar, a guy that we just saw fight in the UFC in the summer on steroids. But I digress. The point is, people bought into Goldberg at 50 more than they do Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and anybody else for that matter. And Goldberg has that match with Lesnar, Survivor Series. that was a very interesting time. He then does that promo where he says, what about another title run? And I said to myself, oh, are they actually going to go there? Because they don't like to tease things that they can't deliver on. That has been a Vince McMahon trait for years. Like the time Brock Lesnar, of all people, was in the office and he had the championship belt, and then it was like a tease that that's what's going to happen in a year. And then it did. So when Goldberg teased that, I thought, are they going to go there? Then Goldberg's in the Royal Rumble, and I said, oh, this makes sense. Goldberg goes in the Royal Rumble. He has a great showing. Lesnar screws him. Lesnar-Goldberg number 3 at WrestleMania. That somewhat happened, except for the fact that Goldberg eliminated Lesnar. Lesnar didn't get his revenge. Undertaker eliminates Goldberg. Goldberg got pissed. Then 2 weeks later on Raw, now, they announce Goldberg and Kevin Owens for the Universal title. And that there's no one on the full-time roster that could have occupied that spot. No one on the horizon on the main roster, Raw or SmackDown, that they could have moved over to take the spot and be the guy, says a lot about their current creative and their ability to make new stars. Now, they've also been hit with a few things, to be fair. Number one, Finn Balor is hurt, and he probably would have been the guy to come back and beat Owens had he been able to come back in time. But he unfortunately had that shoulder injury, and it doesn't look like he's going to be back by WrestleMania. So he's out of the picture, and we will touch on that in a second because that's leading to something. So Goldberg versus Kevin Owens, and now people are saying, well, Goldberg's going to win. Goldberg's going to beat Kevin Owens for the Universal title, and we're going to get Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for a WWE Championship in 2017. And this is crazy. And it's interesting, and it's crazy, and it's compelling enough for me to now make me have to make dinner plans so I can see Fastlane, because I actually want to see how this turns out. It's almost similar to the time Ryback was unbeaten. I know, Ryback of all people. It's quite funny that. When Ryback was in there with CM Punk, and there was this heavy debate, and I remember because I did a video, and you can go back and watch it, because people were like, he could win. He's on this streak. He hasn't been beaten. He seems to be that guy. And he has to win. Otherwise, they've booked themselves into a corner. It's a little bit similar to that in a lot of cases. I kind of compare it more to the time that Hogan came back in 2002, got that nostalgia pop, was super over, and then they put the title on him for a month. I think it's going to be a little bit more like that than the Ryback situation now when I think about it. And I'm actually in belief that Goldberg might end up winning the belt. So a 50-year-old part-timer is going to be the Universal Champion and likely be in the headline spot for WrestleMania. Because let's face it, of no disrespect to both guys, but Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt really doesn't do it for me right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if Goldberg and Lesnar, if Goldberg wins the belt, is the headline bout. And I don't see Owens and Jericho as entertaining as they have been and as watchable as they have been. If Jericho turns babyface, I don't see that closing the show, unfortunately. So Goldberg versus Lesnar for the belt looks to be the most likely candidate, and that says a lot of things. And I know it's going to get the whole, well, you can't bring a part-timer in, and it's like the whole thing with The Rock, right? You bring in a part-timer, he comes back, he beats everyone on the current main roster, no one gets a rub from it. And what does it say about your full-time roster? Also, what does it say about the current generation when you bring someone from the past generation and beats them? It's like saying, well, the current generation is not up to snuff. That's another thing. And on top of that, how's this match going to turn out? Because if Goldberg has been booked one way since he's come back, and it's worked. It's been successful. We've seen Goldberg demolish Lesnar in like less than a minute almost at Survivor Series. So does that mean that Kevin Owens in the presentation is going to suffer the same fate? And that's interesting, because I know that's going to get a lot of people, who the fuck is messaging me? You're on the list. That's going to make a lot of people say, well, if Owens and Goldberg wrestle and Goldberg destroys Owens like that, that hurts Owens' credibility. That gives Owens not a lot to work with afterwards, and you're going to have to reheat him and spend most of the spring and summer reheating him to kind of get that credibility back. And it doesn't help when you have a full-time roster of guys that are going to be there all the time They're the ones that need the rub rather than the part-timers. So I know that that's going to get a lot of people going too. What if Owens wins? What if Lesnar comes out and costs Goldberg the belt? That's another a topic that another way it could go down. Or what if Owens just wins? Now, does anyone buy into Kevin Owens winning a match clean 1, 2, 3? If he did, that would be a huge credibility booster for him. It would be a huge credibility booster for him. The problem is he's kind of been more of a comedy heel, so I don't think fans would buy into it as much on paper right now. But wow, this is very interesting. You know, this is a very deep topic now. Now, come to think of it, the thing is, if Goldberg beats Owens, then we have Goldberg versus Lesnar. And then Lesnar wins at WrestleMania, we assume. That means Lesnar is now the Universal Champion, and the belt goes on to another part-timer unless Brock has agreed to do more dates. So I know that fans are going to really be up in arms about this situation. And then the transition is, well, Finn Balor. Is Finn Balor going to come back and face Brock Lesnar? Can fans buy into that outside of our die-hard audience? I know that they're both smart enough in terms of talent to know how to make it work, but does the audience outside of us buy into that? So this is going to be a very interesting topic. There's a ripple effect that comes with Goldberg being here, and I really want to know what people think. Do people hate the idea? Do people want to see this match in the first place? And what do you think is going to happen? Is this going to damage Kevin Owens' credibility? Is Goldberg going to win? Is it good for business in terms of figures and numbers for Goldberg to win? Or is it bad for business? I think it's going to get a lot of intrigue to the point where, you know, the curiosity factor will kick in, and I think people will watch it. If Goldberg wins, though, is it going to be done in a way that hurts Kevin Owens but boosts Goldberg? That's another thing, so I'm just pretty much fucking repeating myself. So I'm going to stop, because I'm drying out of ideas here. I'm going to stop right now. We're going to continue this discussion. So I want to know what everyone out there thinks. Every one of you out there, let me know what you think is going to happen with Goldberg and Kevin Owens. If Goldberg is going to be the Universal Champion, if Lesnar's going to win it afterwards, if this is bad, if this is good, let me know what you think and what you feel. And do you feel the same way as I do, where they don't have strong enough baby faces in the first place? I'm going to stop. The person ringing my house phone is going to be on the list. Don't you worry about that. They're going to make the list. And, fucking hell, has to happen to me, doesn't it? I'm going to stop. Hit that like button. Comment down below. Hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Take care, guys, and peace.